Is there anything that would stop people from trying to cross the border to the United States?
We've got 50 years of hard work that's on the line.
Yo, look at the size of this fucker.
President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin will hold their first official summit in Helsinki on July 16th. Trump's vice president, secretary of state, and national security advisor all say they expect the president to bring up Russian election meddling. But Trump's morning tweet suggests otherwise. A 19-year-old Israeli American has been convicted in Israeli court for making nearly 2,000 hoax bomb threats to American Jewish community centers, as well as airports, schools, and shopping malls around the world. Michael Kadar said he made the calls out of boredom, but he also profited, earning about $240,000 in Bitcoin from people who paid him to make threats. The Justice Department has charged 601 people with healthcare fraud in what it's calling the largest takedown of its kind in U.S. history. The department highlighted charges against 162 people, including 32 doctors, for illegally prescribing and distributing opioids and other narcotics.
We will find you. We will bring you to justice. You will pay a very high price for what you have done.
President Trump helped break ground at a $10 billion factory in Wisconsin for Taiwan-based Foxconn Electronics, which got nearly $4 billion in incentives to build there.
Eighth wonder. I think we can say the eighth wonder of the world. This is the eighth wonder of the world. But this is something so special. So I want to just...
Refugees are welcome here!
Outside of a courthouse in Brownsville, Texas today, hundreds of protesters called on the Trump administration to end its zero-tolerance policy and stop separating families who cross the border, or detain them at all. Across the Rio Grande, it's clear that zero tolerance isn't dissuading migrants who will do anything to reach the U.S. Many are biding their time in stash houses that cartels use to stow drugs, and also rent out for a last-minute meal and a bed to migrants waiting to cross.
Puerto de Anapra is one of the poorest communities in the state of Chihuahua, dominated by the Juarez Cartel. It also backs right up to the border fence, making it the perfect spot for migrants looking to cross illegally. One of them is this 27-year-old Guatemalan pharmacy manager, who's trying to get to her husband. She didn't want to be identified out of fear U.S. immigration authorities would arrest her.
When do you plan to cross into the United States?
Que sea pronto. Sí, quiero estar al otro lado con mi esposo. Él me espera ahí. Que ya son 5 años que no lo veo. Pero sí, la primera vez sí pasé, pues, pero me agarraron ahí adentro. Y hasta ahorita estoy aquí donde estoy para poder cruzar otra vez. Y primeramente Dios, pues, que Diosito me ayude a llegar hasta donde yo quiero llegar, pues, y que se me cumplan mis sueños, todos los deseos que yo tengo.
The owner of the stash house, which is about 30 feet from the Mexican border, told us that the cartel would allow us to interview migrants about immigration, but not about how the house serves as a waypoint for drugs or human trafficking. The pharmacy manager has been waiting 3 weeks to cross.
Did you have to pay people to make your way to this house?
Desde que salí para acá. De la federal, yo tuve que pagar para poder que me dejaran pasar. Que me pidieron dinero.
It costs her 8,000 pesos, or about $400, to make it here. The migrants who pass through Juarez use a ladder to climb the fence and hop on slow-moving or stopped trains. Most of the time, the trains are too fast to jump on. Trains slow down near the University of Texas El Paso, where migrants get off and hope smugglers are waiting to take them to safe houses on the U.S. side of the border. The Juarez stash house we visited is run by this man, who told us his name is Victor.
Have you ever had to deal with the Border Patrol? They're just right in your backyard.
Llegan, brincan, se devuelven y ya llegan, se paran y en inglés me dicen que qué está pasando y ellos le llaman al mexicano y el mexicano llega y pues, se arreglan los mexicanos con los gabachos y realmente no hayan nada y se van, se alejan y conforme pasa el tiempo se van y brinca la gente y Dios los bendice a ellos y a mí también. Es más difícil porque hay más ley y hay más seguridad con el muro. La gente dura más, espera el momento y se desespera y a veces se entrega sola por la desesperación.
Is there anything that would stop people from trying to cross the border to the United States?
Que tenga mucha policía aquí enfrente. Caballos o motocicletas. O el tron.
So you were caught in 2016 and held in a detention center, but despite that, you're still willing to try again.
Sí, tengo ganas, porque quiero estar allá al otro lado. Cuando me mandaron a mi país y todo eso, me quedó un poquito así, miedito de volver a intentar, porque yo no quiero que me vuelva a suceder lo mismo otra vez. Ajá. Pero sí, intento hasta que esté allá. Primeramente Dios.
We've already seen the lengths that they will go through to try to undermine the will of the American people.
We've got 50 years of hard work that's on the line.
The day after Justice Anthony Kennedy resigned from the Supreme Court, progressives are in a state. They're sad, they're mad, they're scared. And thanks to the rules of the Senate, that's about all they can be. It used to take 60 Senate votes to confirm a Supreme Court nominee. But Majority Leader Mitch McConnell changed that rule last year. So now Republicans only need 51 votes. That means just 50 senators plus the vice president if he's needed to break a tie. Just 50 senators, and you've got yourself a new Trump-friendly Supreme Court justice. Whoever Trump selects is going to tip the court in a way that endangers Roe v. Wade and a host of other progressive priorities, like criminal justice reform and voting rights, and on and on and on. So Democrats are right to be at DEFCON 1, and they're trying to strategize. First, they tried to reason with McConnell in the name of fairness. In 2016, McConnell blocked President Obama's Supreme Court nominee because it was an election year.
This decision ought to be made by the next president, whoever is elected.
Hey, but this is an election year too, say Democrats. McConnell has brushed that off, explaining that a presidential election year is different from a midterm election year. Then there's the ethics plea. Richard Painter is a former Republican ethics chief who's now running as a Democrat for Senate in Minnesota. He says Trump shouldn't get to pick a justice at all because the high court may end up weighing in on the Russia investigation or on Trump's alleged ethics entanglements. This idea might do pretty well on liberal websites, but don't expect it to catch on anywhere else. Then there's the idea that Democrats could get two moderate Republicans to flip, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. They favor abortion rights, but even Democratic senators don't sound too optimistic about it.
Both of those people are very judicious members of the Senate, and I think they will be weighing any of the candidates very closely.
Lefty pressure groups are also pushing Democratic senators to, quote, ditch the list. The goal is to unite Democratic senators against any one of the potential 25 nominees on a list Trump circulated last year. But the fact is, at least one or two red state Democrats are likely to vote in favor of Trump's pick. 3 of them voted for his last one, Neil Gorsuch. So without the raw numbers, and without a procedural tool to turn to, what are Democrats left with? Messaging. And their number one message is this.
What's at stake is whether or not we will continue to recognize or not a woman's right to choose what happens to her own body.
Democrats may not be able to stop the new Supreme Court justice or stop the court from overturning Roe. But that means there's going to be serious legislative battles to be waged at the federal and the state level on abortion and every other progressive priority. So the leaders here in D.C. need to get everyone really jazzed for this fight, even though it's doomed.
Mario Alberto Chavez is a candidate in Sunday's national elections in Mexico. He's running for mayor of Eduardo Neri, a municipality of about 50,000 people in the state of Guerrero. He isn't new to politics, but this campaign season has been more dangerous than most.
El 16-17 de agosto, al salir de mi oficina, fui atacado a balazos, 30 impactos de bala. Tengo pequeños rozones en la espalda. Posteriormente, en un vehículo, pues fuimos embestidos por otro vehículo. De la semana tuvimos otro atentado en una cena de un amigo donde fuimos baleados. Salieron 3 personas heridas. Esperamos contar con tu apoyo el 1 de julio. Primero Dios, ahí estaremos. Primero Dios. Mientras estemos.
Después de 3 atentados, ¿no hubo un momento en que usted dijo, esto ya es demasiado inseguro para seguir en campaña?
Te quiero decir, la verdad sí, pero también lo vi como un reto, decirte que me apasiona la política, me gusta mucho la política. ¿Sabes por qué? Porque yo no nada más quiero ser presidente municipal, quiero ser presidente, a lo mejor hasta de la República, pero por lo menos me conformaría con llegar a ser gobernador del estado de Guerrero.
¿Usted sabe quién quiere matarlo?
No creo, no sé, pero sí sospecho de personas que están dentro del mismo poder. Esto es netamente político.
Between September and June, 132 politicians have been murdered across the country. 48 of them were candidates running for office. The deadliest state for politicians is Guerrero, the epicenter of Mexico's heroin trade. According to election officials in the state, the climate of violence has made holding a normal campaign season practically impossible.
También afecta la capacidad del ciudadano de votar.
Sí, es indudable, ¿no? Hay miedo en varias regiones del estado, miedo hasta de sufragar. No podríamos hablar de una democracia plena, dado las condiciones.
Because murders like these are rarely solved, it's impossible to know what exactly motivates them. But some people have a good idea. Salvador Rangel is a Catholic bishop in Guerrero. His diocese includes Zumpango, where Mario Chavez is running for mayor.
A las mafias o a los narcotraficantes les interesa poner políticos a su modo.
Rangel has made headlines by holding regular private meetings with prominent cartel leaders in an effort to broker peace. He says there's a turf war between cartels in the region, and that includes a battle for control of local officials.
Me metí por esto porque varios candidatos han venido a verme, por menos 7 candidatos. Porque ellos tienen miedo que al hacer una campaña para quitarlos del escenario político, los asesinen. Y hasta ahorita, afortunadamente, están vivos.
Entonces, ¿usted ha logrado tener alguna influencia sobre el comportamiento de los criminales?
Yo pienso que sí.
¿Cuáles han sido las lecciones principales que usted ha aprendido por medio de dialogar directamente con estas personas?
Muchos de los políticos, sus padrinos son los narcos, los que les han apoyado en las campañas. Ahí usted se puede explicar cómo muchos narcos incluso están protegidos.
In Zumpango, pretty much every politician has either been a target of organized crime or been accused of colluding with organized crime. Mario Chavez is an example of both. When he was the mayor of a different municipality next door, Chavez appeared on a list of officials with suspected ties to some of the most powerful cartels in the region.
Allá en el 2014 salió un artículo en Milenio que encontré hace poquito, que hablaba de un archivo del gobierno que tenía una lista de alcaldes de Guerrero con presuntos vínculos con el crimen organizado.
Sí.
Y su nombre apareció en esa lista.
Sí.
Me gustaría darle la oportunidad de responder.
Con todo gusto. Mira, esa es una zona donde en su mayoría la producción es el opio. Es algo muy natural, pues al ser alcalde, por lógica dicen, bueno, ahí está la mayor parte del narcotráfico, pues el presidente debe tener vínculos con el narcotráfico. Yo nunca, te repito, me he dedicado ni a la venta de droga, ni a la venta de narcóticos de ningún tipo. Soy profesor, me he dedicado a estudiar. Yo estoy en la mejor disposición de que me investiguen, de que tengan que hacer lo que tengan que hacer.
One recent morning, we followed Chavez from his home to a campaign event. On the way, he stopped at a different property on the outskirts of Zumpango.
Esta supuestamente que iba a morir.
Esta sí.
La que se va a subir es esta.
Le van a subir otro poco para que sean los comedores de aquí, ¿no?
Se le va a subir un metro aquí.
This one was a ranch, where he keeps cattle and various exotic pets.
Yo no tengo problemas de ningún tipo con nadie, absolutamente con nadie. Me he dedicado a trabajar desde muy niño. Vengo de una familia muy humilde, para empezar. En fin, he sufrido bastante y no tengo enemigos de otro tipo más que de la política.
We asked Bishop Rangel if he knew anything about Mario Chavez.
¿Usted lo conoce? ¿Ha hablado con él?
No. Yo simplemente he escuchado. Ahí hay muchos intereses.
Zumpango is a critical waypoint for the heroin trade between the Pacific and the rest of Mexico. That means that mayor is a job a lot of people would like to have, or at least have influence over.
El lugar al que ustedes se refieren es muy importante. Vamos a decir, es la puerta del cielo, es la puerta de la droga.
Kim Jong-nam, the half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, was killed in plain sight last year at Kuala Lumpur's international airport. Today, Malaysian prosecutors wrapped their closing arguments in the trial of the two women accused of the murder. The women's lawyers argue that they were tricked into the act by North Koreans. But the North Koreans have a lawyer of their own.
Attorney Jajit Singh insists that he's a very boring man. He only spends time in 4 places: his home, his office, a courtroom, and his temple. Even if his routine sounds run-of-the-mill, his clients are anything but. They include some of the most notorious criminals in modern Malaysian history. Last year, after Kim Jong-nam was assassinated, Singh got a call from the North Korean embassy. They needed a lawyer.
But one thing I told them, if you're coming to me, I go straight. This is exactly what I told them. I go straight. I don't do anything under the table.
And how did they reply to that?
They were very happy. They said exactly what we want.
As investigation progressed,
The Malaysian police initially named 8 persons of interest, all from North Korea. 4 suspects had fled the country immediately after the crime for Pyongyang.
and we would request the North Korean authorities to assist us in tracing them and hand them over to us.
Police did detain Ri Jong-chol.
So the guy that was detained for 14 days, you got him sent back. How did you do that?
Upon expiry of 14 days, the police have either to charge him in court or to release him.
And they released him?
So I was able to persuade them that there was no evidence in which event he has to be released. And if he has to be released, we pack him back.
The police wanted to question the remaining 3, but they hid out in the North Korean embassy in Kuala Lumpur and became pawns in a diplomatic game between Pyongyang and one of its allies.
I'm saying it again that the Korean authorities are not cooperating with us.
Malaysia expelled the North Korean ambassador. North Korea, in turn, barred the only 9 Malaysians in the country from leaving, essentially holding them hostage. Eventually, a deal was struck, and the last 3 North Koreans named by the police were allowed to go home.
So there's no representative from North Korea who is on trial?
Nothing.
Do you think North Korea had any involvement with this case at all?
From what I've seen so far, no.
None at all?
Not at all.
In this case where the estranged brother who'd been critical of the North Korean leader is murdered in broad daylight.
Yes.
And there is evidence that there were North Koreans there who were linked to the government, and you still believe that they weren't involved?
Look, as far as the 4 persons who were there involved, I can't say anything because I do not know them. I've never met them. They were here, they left, fair enough.
With all the North Korean suspects out of the country, prosecutors set their sights on the 2 women who approached Kim at the airport that day. Siti Aisyah from Indonesia and Duan Thi Hung from Vietnam. CCTV footage shows Duan, who's wearing a shirt with LOL in big letters, smear something on Kim's face shortly before he died. Prosecutors say that Siti was filmed running away from the scene, and traces of the nerve agent that killed Kim were later found on her clothes. Duan's lawyer, Tepo Tek, insists she was tricked by a North Korean man posing as a Japanese prank show recruiter who called himself Mr. Y.
Yes, Mr. Y is looking for actresses who are keen in making short video clips and all that.
And did he promise her money for the video clips, for the pranks?
Yes.
Tae argues that some of the suspects who were released were actually North Korean operatives who duped his client. He says they flew her all over Southeast Asia to perform multiple pranks, offering her more money per prank than she ever made in a day.
So they'd conditioned her to do this prank.
Correct.
And believe that it was completely legitimate
That's true.
as part of a TV show.
Right. In fact, before the 13th, she in fact cut her hair, put makeup on the early morning of 13th of February 2017 because she wanted to look beautiful.
The Indonesian embassy hired attorney Gui Soon Sing to defend the other woman, Siti, who claimed she was tricked in the same way.
Why do you think the prosecution are pushing to charge these two women?
Well, I suppose a murder have taken place and they are eager to close the matter and put the whole subject at rest and by simply charging the girl and see what happened. The defense has been compromised.
Gui blames the Malaysian authorities for releasing the North Korean suspects who could have validated the women's stories.
What the Malaysian government ought to have done is to impress upon the North Korean government their responsibility to allow these 4 people to come to Malaysia to testify.
And what's the likelihood of that happening?
I think it's 0.
As for who's really responsible, Singh points to Kim's suspicious behavior that day.
If you really look at the personality involved, the person who died, he was carrying a lot of cash. He was having a thumb drive, and he met some personalities in Langkawi. So,
what personalities?
Believed to be from America, agents from CIA. So if you're going to get involved in that kind of clandestine meetings with this type of people, then you're leading a life that is very dangerous.
What's the best outcome for you at the end of all of this?
Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I only hope that the 2 ladies succeed in their case, they're acquitted. But if they're convicted, then that's the whole criminal process all about.
The Norwegian brown rat is a New York City icon. But for every pizza or cannibal rat to win over residents and YouTubers' hearts, there are another 250,000 to 2 million unfamous rodents the city could do without. The number is loose because rats are sneaky and they breed like rats. Fighting this brown scourge are the city health department and a group of people who own terriers. Under Mayor de Blasio, the city launched a $32 million initiative in the last year to rid New York of its signature rodents, concentrating on hyper-infested rat reservoirs such as this park behind me. The lion's share of this work falls on the city health department, whose own rat department is headed up by ratspert Carolyn Bragdon, with her team of rat inspectors, rat baiters, rat stoppagers, and rat harassers, all of whom we are about to meet and hopefully harass rats with.
Rats are gross. You know, people don't want to go to the park and see rats. But there are also other concerns. You know, rats, they're nesting underneath a sidewalk. That sidewalk can cave in. If they're trying to get into a building, they could be chewing or gnawing or damaging the doors. The rats cause a lot of financial harm to New York City infrastructure.
This summer, the city's health department has focused their efforts on the worst rat reservoirs, many of which are nestled in and around public housing projects.
They go in between here. They're smart as they can be. They make these holes. They create their own big holes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's disgusting.
Building off earlier initiatives, like the installation of over 400 solar-powered rat-proof trash cans, the city's rat reduction team employs a two-pronged approach to its job. Prong 1 is burrow harassment, which basically means stopping up or caving in visible rat holes so they have to find a new home. Prong 2 is just killing them, either by putting poison pellets in bait stations or just directly into their burrows, or more recently by using special raticidally formulated dry ice.
Basically, with dry ice, they're just going to quickly and painlessly
Go to sleep.
to sleep.
It's like carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Here we go. Night, night, Ratty.
We're trying to knock them down enough so that they don't just rebound immediately.
While the city does its rat work by day, another group of New Yorkers take to the streets at night to reduce the number of rats one foul beast at a time. or sometimes two. The Riders Alley Trencher Fed Society is a nocturnal hunting party of terrier owners and other small dogs who were originally bred to chase rats into their holes and bring them out dead.
Just right under the Williamsburg Bridge on the Lower East Side.
And the hunt is just about to begin. Richard Reynolds has been part of this rodent death squad for over 30 years, and although their effect on the city's overall rat population is extremely negligible, it's a good workout for their dogs and it keeps their instincts sharp.
When rats are cornered, they will run anywhere.
Okay.
All right? They will run up your pant leg. So to prevent that, we're going to duct tape your pant legs.
I shouldn't just tuck my pants into my socks, or? If I tuck my pants into my socks, that won't do the trick, or? No? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Do you guys are you blooded after your dog gets his first rat? I can't help but notice I'm the only one with duct tape around his cuffs.
Thomas, this is Maz. Maz is a scent dog. You and Maz are going to go right into the bags, and he's going to try to find a rat and push it out to the other dog. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Release the hounds.
Right. Bottom of the dog.
She's on something.
Get the rat.
Here. Go. Here. There's one in there.
Gonna come around the back. There's a big warren over there. There's like sometimes 30, 40 of them. I want everybody on leash until we're all set up, and then we fucking blitz.
Get it. Still Oz. Oh. Got it?
Sucked your ass right up, didn't it?
How does credit work? If Maz flushed it out but another dog caught it, is it a...
It's a group. It's always
group effort? Oh, okay, good. Okay, it's a team thing. You get it?
Yeah.
All right. Whoop. Away you go.
Yo, look at the size of this fucker. All right.
Oh, that one's still alive.
It's all right. Get it.
That's alive too.
Finish it.
Well, this one really doesn't count because it's Prager's.
All right, 2 more.
Somebody said, "Don't you wear gloves?" And I said, "No, but I try not to chew my fingernails anymore."
Oh, what a good job you have.
Here, get the Capesa Crunch. Watch. There you go. There you go. That's how we do it, Queens, New York style. Drop it.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Everybody likes the rat angle, but we're really here for the benefit of the dogs. This is what the majority of the dogs were bred for. It's what they like to do. And if we kill some rats along the line, we're better off. You know it's a good night when the dogs stay still for this long.
Real talk. No barking, no bullshitting.
Nice. Given the cultural advantages that India has, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Indians will drive the coming tech revolution. You're already seeing it.
So you gave up working at Google to come back to do a startup. Do you think Bangalore would ever overtake Silicon Valley?
Could. What Bangalore's got going for it is the scale of India. It's like 1 billion people.
So this is India's sort of best and brightest engineers. Nerds.